Hello, welcome to Lone Wolf Ministry. In my previous video, I spent time introducing Lone Wolf Ministry, what it is, why I'm doing it, and also sharing a few of the pillars of what Lone Wolf Ministry is. And that includes a Cherokee proverb called two wolves. And it seemed a logical next step to use this video to share that and unpack that proverb. So what I'll do is first I'll read it, and then I will take some time to dissect and unpack each section. So the Cherokee proverb of two wolves goes like so. An old Cherokee is teaching his grandson about life. A fight is going on inside me, he said to the boy. It is a terrible fight, and it is between two wolves. One is evil. He is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. He continued, the other is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The same fight is going on inside you, and inside every other person too. The grandson thought about it for a minute and then asked his grandfather which wolf will win. The old Cherokee simply replied, the one you feed. And this proverb is going to be a guiding analogy or metaphor for Lone Wolf Ministry. I've found it's a really powerful way to understand life, and hopefully it will give some structure to these videos, to these what we learn and teach, and will guide us as we move forward. And so my next step is to unpack each section of that proverb of two wolves. So first, we start with the very first sentence is, an old Cherokee is teaching his grandson about life. And that statement to me magnifies how this proverb is a really helpful story to simplify life. I found personally, and I hope you discover as well, that it is a very helpful tool to help me understand and simplify life. And so the fact that the proverb starts out describing the setting of an old Cherokee is teaching his son about life, I interpret that to mean all of life can be summed up in this proverb. Not to say there's not other ways to describe life, of course, there's countless, but this is a really helpful one. And for the sake of simplicity, it will be the one that I use to guide this ministry. So the grandfather, Cherokee, says to the boy, a fight is going on inside me. And so that is how we would understand really the fight we all have within us. One that we can identify with very well, I imagine. And he says it's a terrible fight, and it's between two wolves. One is evil. He is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, pride, superiority, and ego. And so here, under this bad wolf section, I'd also add any other unhealthy or negative human experiences, such as disease, pain, frustration, depression, loneliness, fear, self-loathing, addiction, anxiety, etc. Those that we would classify as unhealthy or negative human experiences are a good way to understand what the bad wolf is. The grandfather continued, the other wolf is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. And here, as the antithesis of the bad wolf, the good wolf can be understood as any other healthy, positive human experiences we have, such as health, happiness, confidence, freedom, possibilities, opportunities, inspiration, appreciation, gratitude, abundance, wealth, strength, life, etc. So far we have the bad wolf, simply unhealthy, negative human experiences. The good wolf is healthy, positive human experience of life. The grandfather goes on to say the same fight is going on inside you, speaking to the grandson, and inside every other person too. And this sentence, this section, reflects that this is a fight that we all share, that all of us have this internal struggle between our good wolf and our bad wolf, between our healthy experience of life and our unhealthy experience, or positive experience of life and our negative experience of life. And there are other ways that this internal struggle is described in other ways, but for the sake of this metaphor and simplicity, that's what the grandfather is saying, and that we all experience this internal struggle. The grandson thought about it for a minute and then asked his grandfather which wolf will win. And here we have what might seem like an obvious question, but I feel it's important to pause here and note that there is a winner. And I think that this is a great way to reflect back on wolves in nature, as we did in the previous video with lone wolves. So we'll relate this to actual wolves in their natural habitat. And hierarchy in wolf culture, if you will, and wolf natural habitat is highly dependent on hierarchy. And there is what is called an alpha wolf, which maybe many people have heard, but in case you haven't, the alpha is what's considered the leader of the pack. And he is the one who guides the pack, and he has the highest status. And as the alpha goes, so the pack goes. He is the leader and winner, if you will. He's considered the strongest, the most important, and the one that guides and leads the pack and decides what the pack does or doesn't do. And so that, of course, there's less in command and other hierarchy, and there's constant battle for hierarchy in wolf society. But for our purposes, we'll just use the alpha, and the question that the son asks about who wins, which wolf, good wolf, bad wolf, wins, is really best understood of which wolf will be the alpha of my life, this internal struggle we're talking about. Which wolf is going to be the winner of that internal struggle, my good wolf or my bad wolf? Which one's going to win is what the grandson's asking. The old Cherokee simply replied, the one you feed. And I enjoy how simple that response is, given how actually complex that concept actually is and how powerful yet simple that response is. Again, the old Cherokee simply replied to the grandson's question of which wolf in this internal struggle that you have and that I have, Grandpa, that everybody has, will win. The old Cherokee simply replied, the one you feed. So to unpack that, really it means puts the responsibility and the power of who wins, my good wolf or bad wolf, is in my hands by choosing which wolf I feed. And the food, in this case, is my choices in life. When I make choices that support myself, I feed my good wolf. When I make choices that are unsupportive, I feed my bad wolf. Eventually, whichever wolf I feed becomes the most strongest and most dominant in my life, becomes, as we were talking about, the alpha. And whichever wolf I feed the least becomes starved and weak. And so essentially, the more supportive choices I make, the more I feed my good wolf. The more unsupportive choices I make, the more I feed my bad wolf. And the question then lies, do I want my good wolf to be strongest or my bad wolf to be strongest? And I would go further here and, well, first say there, of course, will be many, many more videos just unpacking these subjects, but there's no judgment. One might say I'd implore you to consider letting your good wolf be the dominant one, but we all have our own choices and lives to live. And at the very least, we can know which wolf we feed and which wolf is the dominant one in my life, then also tells me what choices I'm making. If my bad wolf and my life is predominantly seems to be dominated by negative experiences, I can know to some degree, frankly the whole degree, but again we'll leave that for future videos, that I'm responsible for that experience. And this gives us a very good foundation and therefore will be a guiding principle and metaphor as we move forward into what can get relatively complex in terms of concepts. And so I want to give a foundation of a very simple story and proverb to help guide us as we move forward. And this is why this proverb is a pillar of Lone Wolf ministry. It will guide us as we discuss concepts like the mind versus the heart. It will guide discussion about neural pathways. It will guide us throughout any questions you all will have and concepts you bring up, and future videos over all of these things that we've discussed. And so, this proverb really is a perfect description of life. If I understand this proverb, I will understand life. One, because it simplifies life. There's so much teachings and ideas and concepts in the world that tend to muddy up the waters, tend to complicate things and make it hard to really even move forward if I can't even find out really, what to move forward with. So this is a good vehicle to give us some foundation, a solid foundation to move forward. Because one, it simplifies life, and two, I can tell you from experience, the more I live through all of the things that I've been through, really the impossible so far, and embarking on doing the impossible some more. The more I live, the more I am humbled to find how true this proverb is, and become more. The more I unpack life and learn and grow and get new layers, the deeper I get, the more I appreciate this story and this metaphor. So I can tell you from my experience, at least, and I know and hope that you'll find it your experience and others, that it's a very helpful way to understand life. It also puts the power back in my hands, right? If the wolf that wins is the one that I feed, that means I get to decide which one wins. And I find that while it is a huge responsibility, it's also liberating, because I can't control anything that happens outside of me or anyone, but I can always control how I choose to respond. Question being, regardless of what happens outside of me that's out of my control, will I make the supportive choice or the unsupportive choice? And I can say, and we'll learn tools hopefully when we get to that point, I've discovered there's always a supportive choice, and when I choose it, I can actually turn otherwise very painful, harmful, traumatic experiences really to work for my benefit. I mean, it's amazing how really, with a few simple choices, things that might otherwise have been painful or harmful or traumatic could work toward my benefit. This video being one example, that I may never have chosen to do this and put myself out in ways like this in other ways had I not had such painful, difficult experiences. In fact, I guarantee I wouldn't. And who knows where things like this can lead, and the other things that I'm doing that I never would have done, but that's because I'm choosing to be supportive. I could just as easily go hide inside of a bottle and lay in bed all day and just check out and just be a victim, and I want to plenty of times, and but I also know what kind of life that would give me. This is a great proverb to help me know what kind of life do I want. Do I want to have a healthy, positive experience of life, or do I want to have an unhealthy experience of life? My choices will affect which I have. So this proverb of two wolves will serve as the foundation of this lone wolf ministry and my teachings and what we learn together. And of course, please tell me your thoughts and questions, as those will certainly dictate the trajectory of future videos as well. And thank you for walking with me on this journey. And I know I'm going to learn a ton from you all as well. And I hope that other lone wolves out there like me can find, if not, hopefully some real tools to navigate life, then at least some camaraderie, some fellowship, if you will, a community, a place where you can at least feel like you're not alone. And I know that helps me to be here and hear stories of other people going through similar experiences, other lone wolves out there, rare as we are our own community. We can make our own pack. And thank you for walking with me on this unique path.